Able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get started. So what was the last concept we saw yesterday? I think we were doing some problems, right?
Yes, sir. We finished up till example 11.
Example 11, no? Yeah, the other examples also I'll explain it. Can I go a little fast? I want you people to concentrate more and answer. Okay, we are stuck with one exercise itself. One minute. Listen. So we'll do the 12th problem. No. So discuss the continuity of the function. Did we complete this? No, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Discuss the continuity of the function defined by f of x is equal to x plus 2 if x is less than 0, minus of x minus x plus 2 if x is greater than 0. So yesterday I taught you a shortcut, right? First do a rough work. Using the shortcut technique, tell me is it continuous or discontinuous? You can do it immediately. So treat this as equal to 0, substitute it here. What are you going to get? So
Continuous, sir.
left limit is 2.
Equal to right.
Right limit is how much? That is also
Will
2.
be 2.
But what about function value?
Not given.
It will be undefined, right? Because you don't
So
have any.
function value is not given, no? So left limit is equal to right limit, but it is not continuous. Okay. Oh, 1 minute, 1 minute. I made a mistake. Sorry. It is continuous, right? So it is continuous in this case. Why? So still we can say this function is continuous. Why? Because that is the way they have defined the function itself. So they have defined the function only for less than 0 and for greater than 0. At x is equal to 0, it's not a part of the domain itself. Since x equal to 0 is not a part of the domain, we need not worry about the function value of it. Other than all those points, what can you say? It is continuous. Okay. So that is the meaning. I hope you guys know how to do this problem, right? If they ask it in the exam, how will you do it? So what are the steps to be written? This is important, no? F of x is equal to x plus 2 if x is less than 0, minus x plus 2 if x is greater than 0. Okay. So left limit, how are we supposed to do? Left limit x
Limit
tends,
x tends to 0 minus.
f of x is equal to limit h tends to 0. F of x is how much? I will write it as f of 0 minus h. So limit h tends to 0, 0 minus h plus 2, you will get the answer as 2. Similarly, right limit also, you will get it as 2. That part people do it. Since 0 is not a part of the domain, in the given domain, the function is continuous. Okay. So how do you draw it graphically? So when x is greater than 0, what is the function? Minus x plus 2. Minus x plus 2 will look like. So y is equal to minus x plus 2. When x is 0, y is 2. When y is 0, x is 2. So what are the points? 0, 2,
0,
and
2 and 2, 0.
2, 0. 0, 2 and 2, 0 will be something like this. Okay, but at 0, what is going to happen? There will be a break. Similarly, for x less than 0, what will happen? Y is equal to x plus 2. Y is 0, x is minus 2. X is 0, y is 2. So it will be something like this. Okay, actually it should be like a symmetric graph and a circle here. The open circle represents that there is no function value existing at that point, but that doesn't mean it is discontinuous. Okay. Next. So 13th one, how to do? Discuss the continuity of the function f of x is equal to x if x is greater than or equal to 0, x square if x is less than 0. This is a good problem. So they are saying discuss the continuity of the function. So what are we supposed to do? First observe what kind of a function it is. So what kind of a function is it? F of x is equal to x represents what? I can say it's a polynomial function, right? Or it's an identity function. So this function has a domain of real numbers. X square is also a polynomial function. It also has every polynomial function's domain is real number only. Okay. So what they did is they have taken two polynomial functions and they have broken them into two parts at which place? At x is equal to 0. So if you are able to find if these two polynomial functions are continuous at x is equal to 0, that is enough to say they are continuous throughout their domain. Okay. So using the shortcut, you guys do and tell me what is the answer.
Left limit and right limit and function value will be 0, sir.
It is same, right? Hence,
Yes, sir. It's a
function is
continuous function.
it is a continuous function, right? But how are you going to write it in the exam?
Showing
Left limit.
right limit.
Limit x tends to 0 minus what is the value? F of x is equal to limit h tends to 0, 0 minus h. That is going to be 0. Similarly, right limit x tends to 0 plus f of x is equal to limit h tends to 0. What are you going to write? 0 plus h the whole square. That is also a 0. F of 0 is 0 square. That is also a 0. So left limit is equal to right limit is equal to the function value. Say it is a continuous function. Now how will you draw the graph for it? How will you draw the graph for it? So f of x is equal to x represents an identity function. It will be something like this. If you observe, what did I do? Ident equal to 0 also. Sorry. This is how it works. Correct? Now f of x is equal to x square. Y is equal to x square represents an upward parabola. So the upward parabola is going to exist from here till this point. So they both meet at this point, hence the given function is continuous at this point. This is y is equal to x square, this is y is equal to x. Okay. See, show that every polynomial function is continuous function. What you can do is you can take a polynomial function p of x is equal to a0 plus a1x plus so on till an x power n. Okay. So from this we can say if you are able to prove limit x tends to c f of x is equal to f of c, then you can prove that the given polynomial function is continuous at every point. You need not take the left limit, right limit here. Because for a polynomial function, what is the domain? The domain is real number. Hence, it is continuous throughout its real number, any polynomial function. Only if it is a rational function, you need to take certain steps into consideration. Okay. Similarly, example number 15. Find all the points of discontinuity of the greatest integer function defined by f of x is equal to greatest integer of x. So how will you write? Listen. See, mark it as an important problem. So what is the problem number 15? Huh? So f of x is equal to greatest integer where x belongs to R. The domain is real number. You can substitute any real number that you want. Okay. But for a greatest integer function, what is the output value always? For a greatest integer function, what is the output value?
Some integer.
It is
An
an integer,
integers.
right?
Some integer.
Okay. So just to recollect the values, if I have f of x is equal to step x, okay. What is f of minus 1.2?
X of minus 2, right?
Minus? Solra?
Minus 2.
Niklesh. Minus 2 is right, correct. So f of 1.2,
2, sir.
it is 1. Because the greatest integer of 1.2, I already explained this, greatest integer should be written as integer value plus fraction value. What is the greatest integer in it? 1. Similarly, minus 1.2. You can write as minus 1 minus 0.2 or minus 2 plus 0.8. So the answer will be minus 2 because the fractional part always has to be positive. Okay. So having this in mind, what can we say is, let C be any integer. Okay. We will check the did they ask us to discuss the continuity or they asked us to check at integral points? Find all the points of discontinuity of the greatest integer function. Okay. So let C be any integer if C is greater than 0. Okay. If C is greater than 0, then what will I find? For C is greater than 0, I will find
1.
if I find the left limit. It need not be 1, right? It can be anything, 1.23, 2.3, anything. C is some number. Sorry, I took it as integer. Sorry. Let C be any real number. And if I take C to be greater than 0, then what is going to be the value of left limit for C greater than 0? For some value of C, limit extends to C minus. Okay. F of x. Listen to this very carefully. Okay. This is where the confusion starts. Limit extends to C minus. What is f of x? It is greatest integer of x. This is equal to limit h tends to 0. What should I write inside the bracket? Greatest integer of C minus h. Okay. Well, I'll do one thing. I'll not take it as real number. I will take it as an integer only. I'm sorry. Let C be any integer such that C is greater than 0. So I'm checking the left limit and right limit at the integral points. So limit h tends to 0. Greatest integer of C minus h is how much? Correct as well.
C.
That is where we do mistake. It is C minus 1. Why? Because if I take, let's say C, I'm taking it as 2. Then 2 minus 0.00000 something or 1 is going to give us 1.99999 something like this. What is the greatest integer of this? It is 1.
It's
But
1.
what is the value C you have taken? 2, no? How is this 2 and output related? Is it not 2 minus 1? So it is C minus 1. Correct?
So I have a doubt.
Tell me.
But here we're taking h to be exactly 0, right?
No. H tending to 0. I told you already. Limit means tending.
Okay,
Calculus
sir. Yes, understood.
forget this in your life. Calculus is always an approximate value. If h is equal to 0, you'll get the function value. C minus h means it is tending towards C from the left hand side. That is the meaning.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, right limit. You guys tell me now. Limit extends to C plus. Limit extends to C plus greatest integer of x. That is limit h tends to 0. Greatest integer is greatest integer of C plus h. What is the
Now it
answer?
will be C.
Very good. Now it will be C because 2.00 something. It is C. So what can you conclude? Left limit and right limit, they are not the same. What about the function value? F of C is equal to greatest integer of C. That is also C. Correct? Because I've taken c to be an integral value. So where do you find the points of discontinuity for this function?
Left limit.
No. Where do you find the points of discontinuity? You will find the points of discontinuity at all integer values. You'll find it at all integer values. Okay. So if I have to be more specific, the same thing will happen even if c is less than 0. Same procedure. Okay. The same procedure. I took it as c greater than 0 only for you guys to understand it better. I took it with an example. I hope it is clear. There is an important problem, guys. If at all you get it in exam, you should be able to answer it. Right? So graph of greatest integer of x, I've already explained in functions chapter itself. It look in the form of a step. So that's why it's called as step of x also. This I've already explained. Right? The last part of this exercise is algebra of continuous functions. That is, if you have two functions in your hand, which are f and g, and if f and g are two real valued functions which are continuous at a real number c, then what we can conclude is we can do some mathematical operations between them. What are the operations we can do between them? We can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, right? So if you do the addition operation between them, then f plus g is also a continuous function. Then f minus g is also a continuous function. F into g is also a continuous function. And f by g is also a continuous function at x is equal to c. Only thing is, provided g of c is not equal to 0. Okay. So this is the meaning. If you're clear with this, I'll proceed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Listen. So similarly, you have a theorem number 2, which is going to speak about the composite functions as well. Suppose f and g are real valued functions such that f circle g, the composite function of f and g, is defined at x is equal to c, and g is a continuous function at c, then we can conclude that f is a continuous function at g of c. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, it's not the conclusion. Suppose f and g are real valued functions such that f circle g is defined at c, g is a continuous function at c, and if f is continuous at g of c, then f circle g is continuous at x is equal to c. Okay, let me give you an example for it. The best example is sine of x square. Okay, if I take sine of x square, then can I write this f of x as a composite function of two other functions? So f of x is sine of x square. It's a composite function of which two functions? Composite means it's a combination of which two functions, right? Sine of x square, how did you get? See, f of x is sine x. G of x is, I can call it as x square. Then if I ask you what is f circle g of x, what will you say? Is it not
Sine square x.
So whenever you have these kind of functions, we should look at it like this. Sine is a trigonometric function. You look at the value for inside. Generally, the basic standard function of sine is sine x. Instead of sine x, you have anything inside, then that is some other function. X square is a different function. So here it is a combination of trigonometric and an algebraic function. Okay. Now what we are supposed to do is we are going to use the theorem number 2. I cannot use f of x here because f of x is sine of x square. So if I call g of x as sine x, then I will call h of x as x square. Then g circle h of x, I will call it as sine of x square. Are you guys able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what does theorem number 2 state? If you have two functions which are already continuous in the real value, in the real number set. So sin x has a domain of R. X square has a domain of R. Right? If g is a continuous function, that is, g is a second function. If g is a continuous function at C, and f is a continuous, that is, the first function is a continuous function at g of C, then we can conclude that the composition of these two functions will also be continuous. Okay. So what I'm trying to say in this problem is, if I take g of x as sin x, h of x as x squared, then g circle h is what is f of x. Since sin x is a continuous function and x square is also a continuous function, sin of x square will also be a continuous function according to the theorem number 2. Okay. So that is the example of 19th problem. Are you guys clear with this?
Yes, sir.
So this 20th one I will explain after
Yes,
two
sir.
more problems. I'll explain after two more problems. Okay. Let's do it little faster. I'll give you the outline alone. Please make a note. If you have your textbook, please make a note. Or else in your notes itself, write down the hint. Prove that the function f of x is equal to 5x minus 3 is continuous at x is equal to 0, x is equal to minus 3, and x is equal to 5. Okay, this one you guys can do it. Examine the continuity of the function at 2x square minus 1 at x is equal to 3. So 2x square minus 1 is what function?
Polynomial.
It's a polynomial. We know that polynomial functions are defined for all. And we know one more important thing from the example number 14. All polynomial functions are continuous in the real number system. So at x is equal to 3, what will happen? It should be.
It is continuous.
It is continuous. Only thing is, for the exam point perspective, you guys have to show the steps. Okay, but you already know the answer. So examine the following functions for continuity. F of x is equal to x minus 5. So x minus 5 is also a polynomial function. Is it continuous throughout its domain?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, f of x is equal to 1 by x minus 5. It is a rational function. X is not equal to 5. So what is the domain for that? X belongs to R except.
Except 5.
So for any value of real number except 5, is it going to be continuous? Is it going to be continuous in its domain is what I'm asking. What mistake you will do is you will try to find f of 5. Are you doing it? Do we need to find
Yes,
f
sir,
of 5?
we shouldn't find.
We need not find because 5 is not a part of the domain. So it is a continuous function throughout its domain. What about x square minus 25 by x plus 5?
So domain is all real numbers except minus 5.
Minus 5.
So that is also continuous. Okay. Similarly, f of x is equal to mod of x minus 5.
We
It is
true
continuous
for all
in all
real
real.
numbers.
It is continuous because all modulus functions are also continuous. See, generally modulus function abdinale, one thing should come to your mind. They take the shape of a V. Okay, have that point in your mind. Next. Okay, you guys try it. If there is any doubt, reach out to me. Next. Prove that the function f of x is equal to x power n is continuous at x is equal to n. F of x is equal to x power n. Again, it's a polynomial function. X is equal to n. It is an integer. So is it going to be continuous?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
N
Okay,
is
good job.
positive integer.
Yes. N is a positive integer. So it is going to be continuous at that point. N power n. Okay, that is actually one step only. What you need to do is, you need to use the definition number 1. Limit extends to n, x power n is equal to n power n. F of n is also n power n. Since limit extends to n is equal to f of n, it is a continuous function. That's it.
So I have a doubt. Even if they say n is a negative integer, it will be the same answer, right?
If n is a negative integer, what would have happened is it would have become 1 by x power n.
But still, the answer would remain the same, right?
It
So
will not be. Because 1 by x power n is not defined for x is equal to 0.
Okay, sir, I understood now.
Okay, that's where they. So is the function f defined by f of x is equal to x comma x for x less than or equal to 1, 5 for x greater than 1? Is it continuous at
0
x?
and 2 it will be continuous. At 1 it won't be.
Very good, Ra. At 0 it will be continuous because at 0 what is the function you are going to take? Very good.
X less than 1.
0 you will take x because x less than or equal to 1. It is 0. So the function value at x is equal to 0 will be 0. Left limit and right limit will also be 0. At x is equal to 2, what function will you take?
5.
5.
So left limit and right limit is 5 only. At x is equal to 2. At x is equal to 1, what is going to happen?
And left it will be x and right it will be 5.
Right, it will be 5 and the function value will be 1. So it is a right discontinuous function or a left continuous function. Very good. Sixth one. F of x is equal to 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. So 2x plus 3 is a polynomial function. 2x minus 3 is also polynomial. So they are continuous throughout the real number system. But where is the break taking place? We need to check only at the place where the function is broken. We need to check at x is equal to 2. Find all the points of discontinuity. If there are no points, you will write no points of discontinuity. So what are we supposed to do? Left limit, how much?
Be 7, sir.
Left limit is 7. Function value is?
7.
What about the right limit?
Will be 1, sir.
1. So what is the answer?
It's discontinuous.
They ask find the points of discontinuity. The point of discontinuity is at x is equal to 2. That is how you report the answer. Similarly, f of x is equal to mod x plus 3 when x is less than or equal to minus 3. So what are all the points where it is broken? It is broken at minus 3 and it is broken at 3. Correct? So minus 3, what is the answer? For negative,
6.
for very good. Function value at a minus 3.
Will be 6, sir.
Left limit at minus 3 is 6. Function value at minus
Will
3
be
is
6, sir.
yes. What about the right limit?
Will be 6, sir.
It is 6. So all the three are same. I hope you, as of now, you're doing it using that shortcut method. Shortcut, direct substitution method, which I told you, right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, at x is equal to 3, what will happen? What will be the left limit?
20, sir.
The left limit at x is equal to 3,
It will be 20 only.
minus
6x
6.
plus 2.
No, x less than 3. 3 minus left limit. Then you will substitute minus 6x. No.
Right limit is 20, I guess.
Right limit is 20. Rohan, what happened?
Yes, sir. I made mistake.
Right limit is 20 and function value is how much? That is also 20. So it is a left discontinuous or a right continuous function. So the point of discontinuity for this is at 3. Okay. So this problem I'm going to do. F of x, these two problems I'm going to do. Okay, this is also an important one. Please make a note, guys. Actually, wait, I think I've already solved these problems and the videos are recorded. I have a clear video. I'll better give all those things to you. Okay. So that you can do it on your own. Let's do one thing. We'll start differentiability. Is there any other doubt, guys? Is there any other doubt in the concepts? I hope the theory part is clear, right? Continuity is the slightly toughest part. Because you need to have a grip over the functions. Okay. So I assume things are clear. Now let's discuss about differentiability. Here we are not talking about differentiation. We are talking about the differentiability of a function. Okay. So how did we mathematically prove that a given function is continuous? What were the steps we followed? At least the steps that I taught.
We check the left
Limit.
limit, right limit,
So we
and
saw,
function value.
very good. We saw the left limit, right limit, and we verified those two values with the function value. Correct? Adhe mari, whenever I need to find whether a given function is differentiable at a particular point, then I need to find something called as left derivative, and I need to find something called as right derivative, and I need to find the derivative at a given point. I hope everybody remembers the formula for differentiation. If not, you guys have to recollect. Okay. So I'm starting. Please make notes for it. Okay. So the heading is differentiability. So if I have to check the differentiability of a function at a given point, differentiability of a function at a given point, okay, if I have to find for it, first thing that it should satisfy is the function should be continuous at the given point. Okay, this is the preliminary condition that it should satisfy. The function should be continuous at the given point. If not, you forget about differentiability. Okay. So sometimes what will happen is there will be certain questions where you can look and tell that it is not continuous at all. So then you need not go for the concept of left derivative, right derivative, and waste your time. It is not continuous, it is not differentiable, as simple as that. Okay. The second thing is left derivative should be equal to right derivative should be equal to derivative at a given point. Okay. Now comes an important question. When I say derivative here, I'm talking about the output of an operation called as differentiation. Right. Now you guys should answer or tell me what is the output that you are getting when you differentiate something. What is the output you are going to get when you differentiate something? For example, if I have a function like this, y is equal to
Tangent.
f. Is it tangent or something else? It's not tangent. It is slope of tangent. Okay. So have that in your mind. I'll explain why it is so. Listen to this. If I take a line like this, what is the name of this line, guys? A line which cuts the curve at more than one point is called as a secant. Okay. So let's say I'm interested to find the differentiability of the function at x is equal to c here. This is the point I'm concerned about. Okay. I've drawn the graph to be big. Okay. What I've done is, with respect to c, symmetrically, on left of c and right of c, exactly at a distance h, I'm able to find 2 points. So if I call this distance as h dot, then what will be this point? Is it not going to be c minus h comma 0? If I'm able to find a point at a distance h on the right hand side, what is this point going to be? Is it not c plus h comma 0? You're able to understand this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So listen. Okay, I'll do a simpler thing. I'll not take everything in a single graph. I'll take something like this. So I will take this point as C and I will call this point as H. C plus H, comma, 0. Listen. So if I take this as C and this as C plus H comma 0, then what are the coordinates on this graph? What are the coordinates of the points on this graph? If I take this as A and this as B. So what will be the coordinate of this point of A? Is it not C comma F of C? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Similarly, the coordinates of point B will be what?
C plus H, comma F of C.
Plus H comma F of C plus H.
Right. Now, if I ask you what is slope of AB, what are you going to tell me? What is slope of AB? Is it not y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1? C plus H minus C, C and C will get cancelled. So f of C plus H minus f of C, the whole divided by H is what? It is the slope of AB. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, if I keep moving the point B closer to point A, okay, if I keep moving it closer to point A, then what is going to happen at one particular instant? Observe. So here also it is secant. See, understand, here it is a secant. This condition, it's still a secant. This condition, it's still a secant. This condition, it's still a secant. This condition, still a secant. At this point, how is it appearing?
It's a tangent.
Like a tangent.
Appears like a tangent actually, right? When is that going to happen? When the value of H tends to 0, when the value of H tends to 0, C plus H can be approximated to C. Then if I put a limit like this, limit H tends to 0, then f of C plus H minus f of C, the whole divided by H, is what is called as derivative of f of x with respect to x. This is the basic definition of derivative. To be more technical, this is what you would have learned last year as the first principle of derivative. Okay, derivative of f of x with respect to dx, and this gives the slope of tangent at a point. Which point are we trying to find the slope? At point C. At point x is equal to C. Okay, and this is what is called as right derivative. Okay, so technically when you're differentiating something, what is the inner operation you're doing? You're actually finding limit H tends to 0, f of C plus H minus f of C divided by H. The output of that particular limit is what is called as the derivative of the function at a given point C. Okay, so to be more specific, listen. So derivative of f of x with respect to dx, no, you will put a line like this and write x is equal to C. This means derivative of the function with respect to x at x is equal to C. That is the meaning. We will use this kind of an operation in the next chapter. Is everyone clear? I'm getting only 2 responses. Others,
Yes,
is
sir.
everyone? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good. Good. Okay. So this is what is called as right derivative. Okay, Vada? Next. If I take the function like this, where is it? If I take the function like this, if I take this point as C minus H comma 0, and if I take this point as C comma 0, and I take a line like this, I take a line like this, okay? Now what is going to be the slope of, if I call this as PQ? Even before I write the points, you guys tell me what is going to be the slope of PQ. So what are the coordinates of point P? C minus H comma f of C minus H. What are the coordinates of point Q? They are C comma f of C. So what is the slope
Yes.
of P? F of C minus f of C minus H, the whole divided by, correct? Is it not C minus of C minus H? So f of c minus h, the whole divided by h. The slope of PQ. If I apply limit to it, limit h tends to 0, f of c minus h divided by h, then what can this be called as? This is what is called as the left
derivative.
At x is equal to c. Why? Because you are approaching this point c from the left hand side of c minus h, from the left of c. That's why it is called as left derivative. In your textbook, they would have given it like this. Don't get confused, okay? What is the difference? I just swap the values in the numerator and denominator. That's it. Okay, in textbook, they would have written it like this. But I would suggest you to go with the method I taught. Because I'll tell you a method to remember that. If at all you forget in the exam how to remember or how to recollect, I'll tell you. Okay, if you're clear with this, I'll proceed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how to directly write the right derivative and left derivative is draw like a number line. If this point is c, this point is c plus h, this point is c minus h. Okay. So if you want to write the derivative, limit h tends to 0, denominator is h by default. And numerator is f of something. Okay. F of something minus f of something. Okay. So whatever is before that minus should be the right side value. F of c plus h, and whatever is after minus should be the left value. Then what is this derivative called as? Since for the point you are approaching from right hand side, this is called as right derivative. Correct. Similarly, limit h tends to 0 divided with h. F of something minus f of something. What did I say? The first something should be something. The first minus, the one before the minus should be the right side value. So c, and here the left side value is c minus h. Okay, this is what is called as left derivative. That is how you remember it. Okay, you need not memorize it actually. Shareda, shall I do some
Yes,
problems?
sir.
And, yeah, shall I do some examples and show?
Yes, sir.
Listen to this. Okay, so they've given it something like this. See. If a function is differentiable at a point, then it is also continuous at that point. This is the first thing you need to remember. Okay. So if at all somebody tells you in the question, they say this function, this particular function is differentiable at this point, by default you can understand that it is continuous at that point also. You need not worry to find it out because it is an accepted fact. Because only continuous functions can be differentiated. Okay. So that is one thing. Every differentiable function is continuous. This one you have to remember. Are you clear, guys? So
Yes.
first, let me do an example and show. Prove that the function f given by f of x is equal to mod of x minus 1 is not differentiable at x is equal to 1. Okay, this is a good problem. So in the previous exercise, I told you one important. What did I say? Every modulus function, whatever, irrespective of what value you have inside, it is a continuous function in the domain R. Okay. If it is going to be a continuous function, the next thing is we have to check its differentiability. How are we going to do it? Listen to this, guys. So what is the question? F of x is equal to mod of x minus 1. Okay. Is not differentiable at x is equal to 1. This is what we need to do. Okay. Whenever you are asked to prove something in an elaborate way, okay, first of all, whenever you have modulus function, you always need to break it into sub-functions. Okay. It is very easy. Intermediate value will be 0. Above value will be negative of whatever is inside modulus. The below value will be positive of whatever is inside the modulus. This is how you write. Okay, this is for x less than or equal to 1. This is for x equal to 1. This is for x greater, sorry. Okay, this is for x greater than 1. You're able to understand this? This is how we are going to define. Now, what are we asked to check? We are asked to check the differentiability of it. I am going to do the left derivative. Tell me now. So how to find the left derivative? Limit h tends to 0. So left derivative means what should I write? F of c minus f of c minus h, the whole divided by h. Limit h tends to 0. What is f of c? I'm checking it at x is equal to 1. Okay, I'll be more specific. F of 1 minus f of 1 minus h divided by h. Limit h tends to 0. What is f of 1?
0.
Very good. 0 minus. What is f of 1 minus h? What function should I take?
Minus x minus.
Minus of. In the place of x, I should write it as 1 minus h minus 1. Puriyada? In the place of x, I will write it as 1 minus h minus 1, the whole divided by h. So what will get cancelled? 1 and 1 are gone. So limit h tends to 0. Listen to this, okay? Listen to this. Limit h tends minus of minus is plus, plus into minus is minus. So minus h divided by h, answer is minus 1. So what are they trying to say? The left derivative at x is equal to 1 is minus 1. Similarly, what is the right derivative? Which point should I explain? Left derivative only. Which point? Which step? So this is the formula. Okay. So the formula is you're asked to check the differentiability at x is equal to 1. So c is 1. So in the place of c, I substituted. In the place of c, I substituted 1. So what will be the formula? Limit h tends to 0, f of 1 minus f of 1 minus h divided by h. So limit h tends to 0. F of 1 is, look at this, f of 1 is 0. F of 1 minus h is, I have to take this function. So wherever I have x, I will substitute 1 minus h. So in the place of x, I substituted 1 minus h. Okay. Then I solved it, I got minus 1. Similarly, right derivative, what are we supposed to do? Limit h tends to 0, f of Solora. C plus h minus f. So here c is how much? 1. F of 1 divided by h. So Solora, you guys tell me.
Limit. Put 1 plus h minus 1.
So here I should substitute 1 plus h. 1 plus h minus 1. Minus 1 dada. X minus 1 only. Minus 1 minus f of 1 is 0 divided by h. So 1 and 1 will get cancelled.
1, sir.
We will get 1. So left derivative is not equal to right derivative. What is the exact derivative? F dash of 0 is 0. Because, sorry, f dash of 0, f dash of 1. You know what is f dash, right?
Yes, sir. Differential.
So y is equal to 0 at x is equal to 1. So dy by dx is how much? That is also 0 at x is equal to 1. That's because it doesn't have any x in it. So left derivative and the right derivative are not same and is not equal to the exact derivative at the point. Okay. Okay, these are the steps again. Again, there are two things I'll always be teaching you. One is the theoretical part which is supposed to write in the exam. Second is the shortcut for you guys to know the answer before you solve it. Sir, how C is, where did I write C1 minus H star? C is 1. C is 1. Purida. So when I substitute C as 1, it will become 1 minus H. The formula is f of c minus h star. C is 1. Okay. So this is what happens. So how is the shortcut then? Where minus 1? How minus 1 came, sir? Okay, that is by solving the f of 1 is the function value at x is equal to 1 is 0 minus f of 1 minus h means which value will you take? You will take this function, no? In the place of x, you should substitute 1 minus h. So after you solve this, you will get minus h by h, which is limit h tends to 0 minus 1, which is a minus 1. Listen. See, the shortcut here is, in the case of limits for continuity, what did you people do? You took this less than 1 as equal to symbol, you would have substituted directly and checked. For example, in this problem, I'm directly asking you, check the continuity of function. Okay, in a shortcut way and tell me, what will you do? You will put x is equal to 1, you will get 0, 0, and 0. So it is a continuous function. For differentiation, for derivative, what we can do is, if f of x is this value, f dash of x is how much? Differentiate this separately. Minus of x minus 1, what is the derivative?
Be minus 1, sir.
Minus 1. Derivative of 0.
1,
0.
Derivative of x minus 1.
1, sir.
It is 1. So now listen to this carefully. This is when x is less than 1. This is when x is equal to 1. X is greater than 1. So for the left derivative, you should get minus 1. Did you get it or not?
Sir.
Similarly, the right derivative, you are supposed to get a 1. Did you get it or not?
Yes.
And the derivative at x is equal to 1 is 0. Okay. So by looking at this itself, you can say whether the given function is differentiable at the point or not. Okay, this is like you can directly do it. But for the exam perspective, you have to show all these steps. Sharia? So that's the meaning now. That is how you solve. Okay. Next. Prove that the greatest integer function defined by the greatest integer f of x is equal to mod x. The greatest integer of x defined between what integer values? 0 to 3. But 0 and 3 are not included. So between 0 and 3, how many integers are there? Obviously, 2, 1 and 2. So they are saying you need to prove that they are not differentiable at 1 and 2. You can actually do it in one step. What are you going to say? Since the greatest integer function is not continuous at the integer values, is it continuous? It is not, no. Since the greatest integer function is discontinuous at the integer values, it is not differentiable at the integer values. That's it. There's a 1 mark question. Shariada? Okay?
Yes, sir.
So with this, the toughest part is over. Yeah, greatest integer function is not continuous at integer values. Mithun, greatest integer function is not continuous at integer values. Since it is not continuous, it is not differentiable. That's it. Okay, that's it. So with this, the toughest parts are over. Actually, beyond this, all things are simple. It is all about how you are going to differentiate a composite function. So if you observe this, sine of x square plus 5 is there, no? It is actually a composite function. Then you have cos of sine x. It is also a composite function. Sine of ax plus b is a composite function. You're able to understand? So the next part is how to differentiate them. That we will see it in the next class, whenever we have it. Okay, the next class. So any other doubt from today's class?
No doubt, sir.
Okay.
No doubt, sir.
I suggest you all to practice 5 points. reach out to me if there are any doubts. Okay. And secondly, an important point which I wanted to share with you all is, I know I didn't teach matrices and determinants. And the fact I know is in some schools they have started the chapter. So one thing I want to know, is that chapter easy or tough? If I'm not wrong, you will face problem only with finding the inverse of a matrix using the row and the column operations.
Sir, the miscellaneous exercise only, sir.
Is that the only difficulty?
It's
Yes, sir.
moderate chapter, sir.
It's
Sir,
actually
they
easy.
didn't teach the chapter for me in my school, sir.
Okay. I know in some schools they have started. What did they start for you then? Ankit, what did they start for you?
Sir, they started the chapter you're currently teaching, sir.
Okay, they started matrices and determinants only, no? Okay. See, the thing I am, see, according to the scenario that is going on currently, no, we are not sure how these exams are being conducted. So I wanted to ensure that your school exams also you're doing it well. I'm not going to say that your school, you can ignore your school exams and do well in the board exams because the situation is uncertain, right? So give importance to your school exam also. If there is anything that you want me to help or you want me to do it from my side, whether it is online or offline is in recorded videos. Okay. If any help you need from my side, you guys please bring it to my notice. I'll ensure that it is completed. And since I'll be giving you a break, I'll try to complete it during this break and I'll give it to you guys. Okay. Because that's the chapter I teach at the end. But I'm seeing that if I can pre-record and give you all those things, because those two chapters are easy, matrices and determinants. I want to concentrate more on calculus. I hope you guys are able to understand how difficult it will go, like as time progresses, right? So if there is any requirement or any help needed from my side, please don't hesitate to reach out to me personally. Okay, don't think that sir has not started, so I cannot ask. Nothing like that. Your school exams are also important for us. Please let me know, not only here, for other subjects also. If you guys are registered here, for other subjects also, please reach out to me. Don't hesitate. Is that clear?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, they haven't started the lesson. Which lesson? Oh, Shipra, sorry. Oh, they haven't started that lesson. That's fine.
Matrix and determinants, sir.
Okay, what have they started for you?
They are going on inverse trigonometry, sir.
So we are ahead only, then it's fine. So only for DAV they have started. Nikhilaj, what about you?
The matrices they completed and now determinants is going on, sir.
Okay, so till now there is only one chapter that is completed. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay, then we are ahead of the school, except the matrices and determinants part. But trust me, it is a very easy chapter. If possible, I'll record it during these 15 days. I'll try to give you a quality recording itself. Okay, so that it will be helpful for your school exams also. In spite of it, you have any doubts, please reach out. Okay. That's it, guys. I'll see you all.
Thank you, sir.
Regarding the closure,
Thank
okay?
you, sir.
We are going to close.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.